Hi, I'm Andrew Berman from the Mortgage News Network, coming to you from the M&N Studios here in New York. You're watching a video press release, and with me today, I've got Faith Schwartz, who is the owner of Housing Finance Strategies and also the co-founder of NEXTDC. Thank you so much for joining us, Faith.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's such an honor and privilege to have you on the show. I mean, you've had such an impact on housing, and I don't say that in a light way. Anyone who knows you knows actually the impact you've had on policy, through great times and not so great times in the mortgage business. But today we want to talk about NEXTDC. Really excited about this. So, and right off the bat, I mean, the next events, they're tagged as the Women's Executive Mortgage Summit. But you and I both know that a lot of the attendees, and specifically your keynote speaker, we have former Treasury official Craig Phillips is the keynote speaker. It's clearly not a woman. Talk to us actually about why that is. Actually, it's tagged as the Women's Executive Summit, but a lot of men actually are coming to this event.
Sure, of course. Well, I'm tagging along with the Next team, who does a great job throwing their conferences across the market for our industry, and they are focused on women in leadership and women executives. But I know this is important to bring both women and men together, and of course all of our successes are with both women and men. But getting women together to network and have the same exposure as a lot of men and others in our industry to understand how Washington impacts their companies in the mortgage industry and the health of financial services is key to this conference. Bringing that together was very important. And of course, Craig Phillips, as we all know, and the industry is really so well thought of, and we all know he's the architect of this administration's housing policy.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. I mean, it all makes sense. I'm excited to be there myself. But one thing I want to talk about next events are kind of looked at as like these boutique events. Why is it important to keep these events, intimate when it comes to size like that?
Yeah, so I attended my first Next event in February of this year, and I kicked off a little leadership talk about my background and career, but also about the industry and the importance of how Washington can impact their business day to day. And I was taken aback by, one, how intimate and fantastic it was that women were really supportive of each other, and there were men attending that as well. But at the end of the day, there was a different feel to this conference, and I have attended almost every conference you can think of in the mortgage business for many years. This was different, and I wanted to help this group of women think a little more strategically about Washington. So bringing together a small group to be in the room with powerhouses or architects of housing policy, the head of the MBA, heads of fintech companies who are driving modernization in mortgage banking, it's a big deal. Yeah. And so bringing together this group gives them an opportunity they don't always have in a large conference with 4,000 people.
So when you bring this group together, what's something that you experience, that you'll never experience at, large events and, just more general mortgage industry events?
Well, I think it breaks down the silos. And so for this, our focus is technology, fintech. Listen, the market's rapidly changing, and we all have to be thinking through strategically how to run our businesses, how to impact consumers, how to get more houses, more affordable housing in place, how to run our operations more efficiently to get rid of $9,300 a loan. I mean, come on. So that's one area. Be better, be more savvy, and then be in the know on housing finance reform, GSE reform. What are the banks doing? What is the regulatory schematic? What's happening in the legislature? What is the election 2020 going to do? All of this, housing is on the agenda for the next presidential election. All of this is pretty impactful to any leader, and we'd like to make sure the women leaders are getting that exposure and more advanced in this exposure, as well as, of course, any men that want to join us as well.
That's fantastic. Now, listen, I know you and I went over these questions, actually, some of these questions before we went, and I didn't want to ask you this in advance because I wanted to ask you in front of the camera without thinking about this because I'm very curious about this. So you've been in mortgage banking for a long time. We just talked about how you pretty much you got your master's and quickly became actually vice president for a mortgage division of a bank. But where in your career did it go from being like a job to this higher purpose where you're having more of an impact?
That's a great question. I think somewhere midway along my career, after I'd worked for several large corporations, I'd actually helped run a small but growing mortgage company. Somewhere along the way, I had a few good bosses who were more about giving back and being a resource versus keeping like the ego about what can I do next. And I think I somewhere pivoted mid-career to say, you know what, I've had a great career. Certainly after I ran the Hope Now Alliance, I was very humbled about it takes consumers, it takes lenders, it takes investors, it takes the government, and it takes the nonprofits to come together. And so you know what, I love where I'm at because it's all about making it a better market, better for the employees of mortgage companies, a better system that needs to be rebuilt. And it's been nothing but fun. And when you make that change and you leave your ego at the door, there's so much opportunity to give back. And I've had a great run. And so this is a fun time for me. This conference is a great example of just doing our best to have the best speakers like Craig Phillips and lots of other top officials from the government, including Maren Casper, acting Fannie Mae president, and certainly some high-ranking women as well. And then have people exposed to that and really get excited about all the change in our business. Here I am, 30 plus years in the business. I still love it, and I love what's happening. So we want the folks that are watching this, come to our conference, sign up quickly, it will fill up.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, listen, it is a boutique event, and that means actually you have it at venues that are these cool, awesome venues, but can't accommodate thousands of people. So listen, if someone's watching this and they're not familiar with the next events, where are they going to register and learn more about the conference?
So we have a link at the bottom of this video that will have you link right to the NEXTDC event, and I don't have the web address on me at the NEXTDC splash.
We'll put it down there.
Okay, sorry. But it's exciting, and we're excited. We really appreciate our sponsors and, of course, you hosting this. This video.
Awesome. Excited. Listen, it's an honor to have actually you to tell the story here. We're super excited. We'll see you in DC, and thank you so much for taking the time out of the day to meet with us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Awesome. You too. Take care, Faith. And I'm Andrew Berman from the Mortgage News Network. Thank you for watching.